Hey friends, welcome to a thrilling new story packed with love, secrets, and shocking twists. Picture this. One car crash flips a young woman's life, pulling her into a whirlwind of passion, betrayal, and mystical enigmas. What is her lover hiding? What truth will a mysterious elder reveal? Listen to the end to uncover the secrets and find out how this dramatic tale ends. Dive into this emotional roller coaster with us. Let's start now. Part 1. Emma's life, the accident, and its first consequences. Emma, a 30-year-old woman, had striking brown eyes that sparkled with intelligence and determination. Her long chestnut hair, usually tied in a loose bun, fell in soft waves when she let it down after work. Her slender figure in sharp business suits, elegant blazers and skirts, revealed a successful realtor who knew how to persuade clients and close the toughest deals. Her office at a real estate agency, located in a modern glass building in downtown Chicago, was always bustling. Ringing phones, the scent of fresh documents, and coffee in paper cups. Diplomas on the walls and stacks of papers on her desk testified to her ambition and perseverance. Emma had always dreamed of success, ever since her youth, when she sat in the small room of her childhood apartment in Connecticut, imagining herself as a confident businesswoman. Her mother, a simple seamstress, taught her that persistence was the key to dreams, and Emma made this her life's foundation. She recalled spending evenings in her school years studying business books, dreaming of escaping the small town where her family barely made ends meet. Until recently, her life had been cloudless. She had just met Lucas, a man whose charisma made her heart race. Lucas, tall and broad-shouldered, with short dark hair and a piercing gaze, had a slight smile that hid something mysterious. His attire, dark jacket, jeans, and a faint scent of sandalwood cologne, emphasized his casual style, but his movements carried a confidence that bordered on enigma. Their first meeting took place in a cozy Chicago cafe, filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread. Lucas shared stories of his travels in the Colorado mountains, his deep voice captivating, his eyes sparkling with promises of adventure. Emma remembered how her heart tightened when he took her hand, recounting nights under starry skies where he felt freedom. She thought then that he was the man she had been searching for her whole life. Intelligent, witty, with a warmth that soothed her soul. That fateful evening, Emma was driving home in her American sedan. The narrow suburban road in the outskirts of Illinois, lined with old oaks whose branches swayed in the cold autumn wind, was poorly lit. The dim headlights caught only patches of asphalt, and the surrounding darkness felt thick, almost tangible. Emma was irritated. She had just argued over the phone with a friend over a trivial misunderstanding. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tightly, her thoughts buzzing like a swarm of angry bees. She recalled how her friend accused her of being overly self-assured, wounding her pride. Emma always considered herself fair, but that evening her patience snapped, and she responded sharply, unleashing the anger that had built up over weeks of a hectic schedule. "You had no right to do that. It's none of your business," she exclaimed, addressing Lucas, who sat in the passenger seat. In his dark jacket, he calmly replied, "Sweetheart, calm down. Use your head sometimes." His tone was soft, but laced with irony that irritated her further. Emma scoffed, but suddenly noticed a shadow darting onto the road. She slammed on the brakes, but the car hit someone with a dull thud. Her heart pounded, her palms sweated, and a scream caught in her throat. She jumped out of the car, her legs trembling, the cold evening wind piercing her thin coat. In the headlights' glow, she saw a dark figure on the roadside, and fear gripped her like an icy hand. Her imagination painted the worst scenarios: police sirens, news headlines, courtrooms where her career crumbled in an instant. Where did she come from? "I didn't see her." Panic flooded her voice. Lucas, maintaining his composure, inspected the scene. His movements were swift but deliberate, as if he had faced such situations before. "Is she alive or dead? What do we do?" Emma asked, her voice trembling, her eyes filling with tears. Lucas, glancing at the figure, ordered, "Get back in the car and drive away." Emma protested. "How? I hit her." Her thoughts swirled. She imagined accusations, shame before her family, the loss of everything she had built. She recalled her mother's lessons about taking responsibility, But fear of the unknown was stronger than any childhood teachings. Lucas insisted, "Do you want the police to take you? I'll stay. Call an ambulance. Say I was passing by. Trust me." Trembling, Emma got behind the wheel and drove off. Her modern Chicago apartment with panoramic windows, usually cozy with its soft couch and warm lamplight, now felt cold and alien. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, tormented by guilt. At night, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining police knocking at her door. Her thoughts drifted to childhood, when she ran through fields near her Connecticut home, feeling a freedom she had now lost due to one moment of carelessness. The next day, she decided to visit Madame Clara, who lived in a small Connecticut town in an old house with white shutters. Madame Clara, a middle-aged woman with neatly pinned hair and a bun streaked with silver, had piercing green eyes that seemed to see into the soul. Dressed in a white linen shirt that emphasized her calm elegance, her voice was soft but weighty, her every movement deliberate, as if she measured each word. The house smelled of fresh herbs and candles, with shelves lined with ancient books bearing occult symbols. Emma loved this place. Here, she listened to Madame Clara's tales of intuition's power and the signs of fate that always guided the way. "She's in intensive care now," Madame Clara said, stirring herbal tea in a clay cup. Emma, sitting at a wooden table, nervously fidgeted with the tablecloth's edge. "Tell me, will she survive?" she pleaded, her voice trembling with anxiety. Madame Clara, looking at her, replied, "I only know the first letter of her name, K. I don't sense death around her." Emma sighed with relief, but Madame Clara continued, "What about the shouting in the car?" Emma shook her head. "There was no shouting. Lucas and I are new together. We weren't arguing." But Madame Clara insisted, "There was shouting before the accident. You were arguing on the phone. Don't fight while driving, Emma. Conflicts are settled off the road, or trouble will come." Emma lowered her eyes, feeling Madame Clara's words pierce her heart. She recalled how Madame Clara taught her to listen to intuition, telling stories of fate's signs that warn of danger. Emma had ignored those signs. Haste, anger, distraction at the wheel, all led to a catastrophe that changed her life. Back home, Emma couldn't find peace. Her thoughts raced. What if Caitlin doesn't survive? What if they find me? She stood by the panoramic window, watching Chicago's lights, imagining her life collapsing. Her career, dreams, love, all seemed fragile, like glass that could shatter with one careless move. Lucas came that evening, his face serious but his eyes warm. He sat beside her on the couch, placing a hand on her shoulder. The victim's in intensive care. Just an elderly mother, no money. Emma, her throat tight with guilt, whispered, "I have some savings. I'll borrow the rest from a friend." Lucas nodded. "I won't let anyone lock you up." His words calmed her, but deep inside, unease stirred. She looked at his hands, strong and calloused from workshop labor, thinking he was her rock. Yet a fleeting shadow in his gaze, a slight tension in his voice, made her heart clench with fear of the unknown. Emma didn't yet know that the man she saw as her savior hid dark secrets that would soon shatter her world. Part 2. Despite the unease nesting in her heart, Emma felt her feelings for Lucas deepen. His charisma, warm smile, and confident movements made her happy. Lucas, with short dark hair and an athletic build, always looked effortless. Dark shirt, jeans, a faint sandalwood cologne. He had a habit of fixing his hair when nervous, which Emma found endearing, though she sometimes noticed a shadow in his eyes she couldn't explain. She recalled their first walk in Chicago's Millennium Park. Autumn leaves rustled underfoot as Lucas shared stories from his youth, his infectious laugh making her forget her troubles. That evening was special. The sunset painted the sky in pink and gold hues, a cool breeze carrying the scent of fallen leaves. Emma felt her life finally had meaning, like a puzzle forming a perfect picture. He worked at a computer repair shop in a Chicago suburb, a cramped space smelling of solder, with old monitors and wires cluttering metal shelves. The dim fluorescent lights and humming fans created a chaotic work atmosphere. Emma loved stopping by after work, holding a paper coffee cup, watching Lucas deftly disassemble equipment, his fingers moving like a dance. She imagined him, focused and confident, fixing computers, and it gave her a sense of stability. One evening, sitting on the soft couch in her Chicago apartment with panoramic windows. Lucas shared that Caitlin's condition had improved. She'd been moved to a regular ward in an Illinois clinic. Emma, her brown eyes shining with gratitude, sighed in relief. Her chestnut hair, loose after a long day, fell over her shoulders, and her thin sweater accentuated her slender frame. She recalled dreaming of this life, a successful career, a loving man, a cozy apartment smelling of freshly brewed coffee. But the shadow of guilt from the accident lingered, like a dark cloud over her happiness. "I don't know what good I did to deserve you," she said, leaning against Lucas. He hugged her tightly, and she felt the warmth of his arms. "I love you," Emma whispered, feeling their hearts beat in sync. Life slowly returned to normal. Emma resumed closing deals at her Chicago agency, her confidence returning, but the unease persisted. Her office, in a modern glass-walled building, buzzed with ringing file. A week later, the questioning stopped, and Emma felt relief. She slept better, her appetite returned. One evening, sitting with Lucas in a cozy Chicago cafe with panoramic windows, smelling of fresh croissants, she said, "You know, no one's ever cared for me like you do." Lucas, holding her hand, smiled. "I changed when I met you." But doubts crept into her soul. She noticed Lucas staying late at work, visiting her less often. His suburban Chicago shop, cluttered with tools and old computers, felt alien. Emma imagined him working there late, but his excuses sounded less convincing, as if he hid something important. One day, planning a surprise, Emma stopped by the shop. "You forgot your license," she said, handing him the document. His flustered face alarmed her. "I sold the car," he admitted, explaining the money went to Caitlin's rehabilitation. Emma's heart clenched. "Your car was expensive. I'll sell my jewelry," she exclaimed, but Lucas stopped her. "No, I don't want you suffering because of me." Emma's doubts grew. She visited Madame Clara in Connecticut again. The house smelled of fresh herbs, and Madame Clara, in a white linen shirt, sat at a table holding a clay cup. Her hair was neatly pinned in a bun with silver streaks, her green eyes wise. Emma recalled how Madame Clara taught her to recognize fate signs. These memories calmed her, but couldn't silence the growing unease. "Does he love me?" Emma asked, fidgeting with the tablecloth. Madame Clara replied, "He loves you, but there's another woman between you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Madame Clara gave her enchanted water, instructing her to wash her face with it to learn the truth. Emma held the glass, feeling its coolness, recalling Madame Clara's words that truth comes to those who seek it. She imagined the water washing away her doubts, revealing the path to truth. The next morning, Emma washed her face with the water before her bathroom mirror. Her face, pale from sleepless nights, reflected in the glass. She decided to follow Lucas, who said he was going to a rehabilitation center in Illinois. Instead, he entered a residential building in a Chicago suburb. Parking her car, Emma approached a neighbor, an elderly woman in a scarf sitting on a bench. "Does that man who went and live here?" she asked. "Yes, that's Lucas, with his woman," the neighbor replied. Emma felt the ground slip beneath her. Then she saw Lucas with Caitlin, a slim blonde with cold blue eyes, dressed in a stylish gray coat. Her movements were confident, her voice sharp. Caitlin looked like a woman who knew how to manipulate. Her perfectly styled hair and expensive makeup contrasted with Lucas's simple clothes, sparking jealousy in Emma. She confronted them. "What does this mean? I suffered, borrowed money, and you deceived me." Caitlin, smirking, replied, "I'm not paying anything back. Speak, and you'll end up behind bars." Emma, eyes full of tears, looked at Lucas, who remained silent, his gaze lowered. Part 3. Emma returned home devastated. Her Chicago apartment, with its soft gray couch and warm lamplight, felt empty. She sat on the floor, hugging her knees, recalling how deeply she trusted Lucas. His betrayal tore at her heart, but even more painful was realizing she still loved him. She remembered their evenings on the balcony, sipping red wine, laughing, and watching Chicago's twinkling lights spread out like a starry sky. His touch, warm and comforting, felt eternal then, like a promise of happiness that would never fade. Emma recalled a night they walked through Chicago, hand in hand, as Lucas shared dreams of starting his own business, while she imagined their shared future. That evening, Lucas came to her. His usually confident face was pale, his eyes pleading for forgiveness. He stood in the doorway, hands in his dark jacket pockets, his short dark hair slightly disheveled. "We need to talk," he said softly, his voice trembling with tension. Emma, holding back tears, shouted, "Get out! You're in on it with that fraud." Her voice broke, her heart aching. Lucas confessed the accident was staged and Caitlin was his common-law wife. "But I fell in love with you," he added, his eyes glistening with tears. Emma, feeling her heart shatter, drove him away. She stood by the panoramic window, watching rain stream down the glass, imagining him walking away, disappearing into the dark, wet streets. Her thoughts returned to their shared moments, strolling through Millennium Park hand in hand, when she believed he was her destiny. She recalled how he once gave her a small silver star pendant, saying she was his guiding light. The next morning, Emma saw Lucas outside her building. He stood holding a bouquet of red roses, his jacket crumpled, his eyes full of despair. "I want to be with you alone," he said, his voice brimming with sincerity. Despite her pain, Emma forgave him, feeling her heart soften at his words. They began living together, and her life filled with warmth again. Their days were full of small joys: breakfasts in the kitchen, scented with fresh coffee, walks through autumnal Millennium Park where wet leaves rustled underfoot, and evenings watching movies, cuddling on the couch. Emma remembered how Lucas once cooked dinner, laughing at his clumsy vegetable chopping, making her feel at home. She loved those moments when he told silly jokes, his laughter warming her heart. She imagined their future together, perhaps opening a small cafe in a Chicago suburb where she'd manage and he'd fix equipment. But one day, returning from work, Emma saw Caitlin outside her building. Her cold blue eyes and mocking smile sparked anger. Caitlin, in an expensive gray coat with perfectly styled blonde hair, said, "First you tried to kill me, now you stole my man." Emma, restraining her fury, replied, "You staged the accident." Her voice trembled with indignation. Caitlin threatened, "If you don't leave Lucas, I'll turn him over to the police. He has a dark past." Emma felt fear grip her chest. She imagined Lucas behind bars, his confident smile erased by a harsh sentence, tearing her heart like a slow knife. Her thoughts swirled, recalling how Caitlin looked at her with contempt, as if she were merely an obstacle. She drove to Madame Clara in Connecticut, whose house smelled of fresh herbs and fireplace smoke. Madame Clara, a middle-aged woman with neatly pinned hair in a bun streaked with silver, wore a white linen shirt that highlighted her calm elegance. Sitting at a wooden table, her green eyes gazed with wisdom. Emma recalled sitting by Madame Clara as a child, listening to stories of fate, how the heart always knows the truth if you listen. "What should I do? Leave him or stay?" Emma asked, her voice trembling with despair. Madame Clara replied, "Another's sins aren't yours. Lucas must answer for himself." She gave Emma a rough rope, instructing her to tie a knot and place it under her pillow for a prophetic dream. Emma held the rope, feeling its texture, recalling how Madame Clara taught her to trust fate's signs. She remembered running through Connecticut fields as a child, picking flowers, as Madame Clara said every plant had a soul. In her dream, Emma saw Lucas in shackles, his face pale but his eyes full of love. She realized she had to save him, even at the cost of her own happiness. The dream was so vivid she woke trembling, feeling her heart pointing the way. The next day, she met him at a Chicago cafe, fragrant with fresh coffee and croissants. "This is our last meeting," she said, looking into his shocked eyes. Lucas pleaded, "I love you." But Emma was resolute, her voice firm though her heart broke. For a week after the breakup, she couldn't find peace. Her apartment became a prison, every item, a cup he held, a book they read together, reminding her of him. She sat for hours on the balcony, watching the city, imagining his life without her. Her heart ached, but she couldn't return, knowing it might save him from Caitlin. Unable to bear it, she drove to his suburban Chicago shop, smelling of solder and humming with computers. A colleague, a young man in a cap, told her Lucas had been taken to a Chicago jail. Emma felt the ground slip away, as if her world collapsed in an instant. She drove to Caitlin, who stood in her expensive coat, her cold eyes gleaming with triumph. "He didn't come back to me, so I got revenge," Caitlin sneered. Emma, holding back tears, returned home, feeling an emptiness in her soul. For 2 years, she waited for Lucas. She pictured his face, his smile, his warm gaze daily. She kept his letter from prison, rereading it by the window where rain traced patterns. Each line, written in his hand, was a thread connecting her to him across time and distance. She recalled his promise to return and start anew. She imagined their future, a small house in Connecticut, far from the city's noise. The day he left prison was her happiest. Lucas, thinner but with the same warm eyes, hugged her at Chicago's train station, where trains hummed and diesels scented the air. He said he'd rethought his life, leaving his past behind. They stood embracing, and Emma felt her heart find peace. They married in a small Connecticut church, where incense filled the air and sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, casting rainbow reflections on the wooden floor. Madame Clara, standing nearby in her white linen shirt, her green eyes shining with pride, reminded them, "Don't argue while driving. Conflicts are settled off the road, or trouble will come." Emma nodded, feeling Madame Clara's words become part of her soul, promising peace and harmony. Friends, thanks for diving into this story with us. Like, subscribe to True Stories of Fate, and stay tuned for another thrilling tale. Share your mystical stories in the comments. We can't wait to read them. See you soon in the world of secrets and emotions.